All right, welcome to Emerge episode 3. Now, we had to count to figure out where we were, but so welcome to the Facebook Live. So this week we have Melissa McNallan as a guest, so thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it'll be fun. All right, so we were trying to make some kind of format to this whole video series, and usually it started out good if we talked about kind of what went on in the entrepreneurial community over the past week, and then kind of talk about what's happening this week coming up. So,
sounds great.
I think the biggest thing that happened this week was 1 Million Cups Rochester.
Yeah, that was a great event. I really enjoyed listening to both AJ and Jamie talk about the Collider and the Made in Rochester .mn site.
Yeah, that was pretty cool with their printing, and I think what I am totally promotional for offset printing, but I wanted to print mugs and t-shirts, and when you go on these other sites, and I can't remember the name of any of them right now, but it sounds really great, like simple, but whenever you go to print them, it's really expensive, and you can't do, like, say you want to do 10, it's so expensive. You can't do that. You cannot do that.
Not unless you have a huge pocketbook, and even then it's not really worth the expense when it's...
Right, when it's just a couple. So I think I printed out 10 mugs there, probably even like shirts in runs of 5 or 6. And it was totally reasonable, like $45 or less. So I definitely recommend it for, and it's, for your company and, other people's, you just want a couple shirts to wear. Or maybe you need one to, like, go to an event, like presenting 1 million cups. So.
Oh, for sure. And it's just so nice, I think, knowing that they're here in Rochester.
Right.
And I thought, and that was one of the things I found really cool in their presentations, was the fact that they care about the Rochester community and wanting to grow within the Rochester community instead of, I thought AJ made a great point on, well, I could go to Chicago or Seattle because it's cool, but Rochester is my home and it's where I've rooted.
Right.
And why would I leave this community? Why wouldn't I bring the cool things and do the cool things I want to do here? Mm-hmm. And that's been a big thing for me, too. There's, should I live in the Twin Cities because there's all of this theater stuff going on, all of this commercial stuff going on, all of this artistic stuff going on? Or should I stay in Rochester and be a part of creating more of that in our area?
Right. No, I agree. I think there's a lot of impact you can make in Rochester right now if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
So that is the exciting part about being here. And definitely things like that help to lower barriers for small businesses to do stuff like that. To print shirts, get promotional material out there. And there goes AJ. And even the Rochester Made site, like that's a fantastic way to get everybody's work out there.
To get the artists in the community kind of plugged into an opportunity to also make money. Because I think that's a challenge when you want to do something artistic too, is finding the funds.
Absolutely, absolutely. And paying for a website, which is, if it's something like Shopify, I think it's like $35 a month. So it's like, this is just a more cost-effective way to let everybody in the community kind of have a marketplace, so to speak.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It was super cool.
Yeah. Well, and I also liked, with Collider co-working, which is just over that way, or actually it's here too, but is that opportunity to not pay too much for office space, because that's why we have it as our office space, is we were looking for a cost-effective way to get outside of our house so that we could have a place where we went to work at.
Right, exactly. And I think, we've all had 1 year here, and it's been a fun time, and that's how we met, and other people in here. So
and Blue Duck happy hours coming up, so that helps too.
Yep. So the only other thing, my computer up here, this week I went to the Commission's Cards and Cocktails. So,
what is that?
So the Commission is like a young professionals group, and I think we specifically asked them once what young professional was, and I think he said under 40.
Okay.
So I
have a few months.
It's super subjective, though, I think, what young professional is. I think pretty much anybody, but it was at Lavetta, so up on the rooftop, and it was really nice. I went for 45 minutes, met 5 people I never met before in 45 minutes, so usually I just have really good, meaningful conversations with people there. That's where I first met Ethan, who was in Collider.
Okay.
So, and I think he's involved in a lot of their planning. So I think it's just a nice group to get involved with, and you know.
And then the cards, is that business cards being exchanged, or okay?
Yeah, so they do cards, business cards and cocktails, and then cards and coffee, which is in the morning.
Okay.
So, you know, it hits kind of everybody. If you're not a morning person, if you want, you know, some wine with your networking, which is better for some people.
Yes.
So,
It's a little bit more relaxed. Some people
Yeah.
need the espresso to like want to talk, and some people need the.
Yeah, but I think it's a really good thing that's going on in the community. I've found a lot of value in, and I'm not super involved in like their events or anything, but just going to things, you know, sporadically. I found a lot of value in that. So.
And you felt like it was more of an in-depth conversation than here's my card, there's your card, let's just
Definitely. I think I talked to everybody I talked to for 5 to 10 minutes, which is pretty decent for a networking event.
Oh yeah.
And just more in-depth conversations with people.
But how many people do you feel like were there?
Oh, when I was there, probably about 30 to 35, I would say. So
That's kind of like a just right amount. I think.
yeah, it was hard to tell because it was like up on the rooftop, so there were obviously
Oh.
other people there. But
Yeah.
I think it was pretty well attended in my opinion. Like 30 people is perfect. So yeah.
Cool.
So I would encourage people to go. They're doing good things in the community.
Oh yeah, well, and a beautiful location to be at.
Definitely. All right, so next week in the community, so I have my calendar here, so we know. And of course the air blower comes on at the same time. So we have open coffee tech meetup on Tuesday. Wednesday is actually, I think it's the International Day of Co-working.
Oh yeah.
So we're having,
I know a few people planning to pop in.
That'll be
in
good.
the Collider space.
Yeah, so free co-working and Collider all day on Wednesday. Thursday there's BioLinks. So that's what's the best way to put it? A group within Mayo, a science entrepreneurship group within Mayo. So it's Mayo's graduate students, but everyone's invited, and they're having Chris Schaap talk. So he's involved. He's a Mayo employee, but he's also involved with DMC. So it'll be, it should be interesting. So. Then of course we have happy hour on Friday, and also today at 4 in Blue Duck Kitchen. So also highly encourage people to go to that because it's good company, good conversation, and cheap drinks, right?
Oh yeah, and delicious drinks.
Yes.
One of the best margaritas I've had in town, and I am picky.
I haven't had their margarita yet.
They do a good job.
I do like their deviled eggs. Their deviled duck eggs,
Oh.
even though that might sound weird, but they're really good. So I recommend those. And
But
they're
I
$2.
Oh,
So how can you go wrong?
yes, might as well branch out at that price.
Yeah.
Try things.
Yeah. So the other thing we wanted to talk about, and what you came here to talk about today, was there is let's make sure we get it right, improv test drive on Sunday, August 13th. So not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
Yes.
Going on in Blue Duck Kitchen. So do you want to talk to us a little about kind of what that is and what people can expect at this kind of test drive event?
Oh, sure. Well, at the Improv Test Drive event, David Kabelhoff, who's a master improv instructor, will be here. And it'll be in the back part of the Blue Duck. And part of the reason for holding it there is that used to be where the Mask Youth Theater was. And that's where I first started taking improv classes. So I thought it would be super cool. And then I talked to Jenny downstairs about whether or not we could utilize that space on a Sunday. And since the Blue Duck is closed that day, it's a perfect space and a perfect time to host it. We won't be interrupting or being too loud. You know, we won't have to worry about people overhearing us, because when you're doing something like improv, it's, I think, very important to feel safe and secure in what you're doing and what you're trying. And it's so much fun. And David Kabelhoff, I took classes from him up at Brave New Workshop in the Cities and really enjoyed them. They're just fantastic. And you don't have to be an actor to want to take them. If you are an actor and you're interested in taking it, it definitely helps you bring more truth to your scene work. If you're not an actor, it helps in so many ways, from relationships to business, taking those sales calls or lifting up that phone when you don't want to make the sale call. And if you're in sales, you're definitely familiar with that feeling, more than likely.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, and we talked about this in the beginning, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about this class, is that there are so many applications to your professional life. Like, it's not just for actors. You know, even this, I mean, in a sense, is a little bit of improv, right? When you're having a low-key conversation with somebody, it just helps you to, you know, not drop the conversation, be actively listening and responding, like on a sales call.
Yes, and that's a key thing in improv. A lot of times people, I think, also think, oh, you have to be funny and there's going to be pressure for me to be funny and on the spot. And really it's more about listening, because when you listen, you can give so much more. And I noticed in the class when I was in it, really just dialing in and focusing on that person and what they're doing, because I don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
So that I could then do my part and do it well, and it required real listening skills to do so.
Yeah, I would imagine it's a huge like professional development type thing that would be useful to go to. For me, like I came from science, so we never talk to anybody in science. You sit at your desk and you talk to like your mice and your fish. And I remember the first time I got involved with Medical Alley doing some work with them, I had to call like experts in the field on the phone, and I would like hyperventilate before I had to pick up the phone, and I'd like have to psych myself up, and like, but it's ridiculous because these are people, you know, nothing bad happened ever, and it's just like getting comfortable with like not knowing what somebody's gonna say and be able to like react to it as like a person. You know, it sounds ridiculous, but that's a huge, like I said, professional development thing, business building type activity, and I'm sure you've seen it benefit a lot of your work.
Yeah, I've seen it benefit it a lot in that, you know, when you have to respond to a situation and you're not really sure what's going to happen, just that practice of, you know, we call it an improv yes and, of taking what that person gives you, and not only in sales calls or, you know, calls to potential clients, that sort of thing, but also in person to person within your business. We all have, I believe, a natural tendency to, when we're presented with an idea, to think of the ways in which it's not going to work. And I think that's just kind of a natural thing that people are geared towards to keep them safe, you know, from primitive times or whatever. But when you say yes and to somebody's idea, you're one, being generous and listening to them, but also it's like you can work out these ideas so much better with that openness. And it kind of works on that openness muscle. We had to create a commercial inside of, I think, 2 minutes, and my group, I think, was assigned taking a fan and using it in an unconventional way. So we turned it into, instead of a fan that keeps you cool, a fan that cheers you on. And it's never as funny when you're just talking about it. But we were able to come up with this great little commercial inside of 2 minutes because we worked on it yes and, yes and, yes and it just built and built and built and built. And it's nice to also apply it to not having limitations when you're looking at problem solving or career and what you do. It's like, well, I'm this, so I can't do that. But if you say yes and, well, I'm this and I can do that. It's a totally different vibe.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I'm sure it really helps in your personal life as well.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, actually, I'm getting married in October, and we had to go through so many, classes about, you know, kind of stuff like that, like working through personal, not controversy, that's not the word I'm looking for, but, you know, personal clashes or just problem solving is more of it. And again, I think that like yes and, so actually actively listening to the person and being willing to, again, like you were saying, be open to what they're saying even if you don't agree with it, and how do you move, how do you gather that information and move on from there together, you know? So I think that this improv, the yes and, has so many applications.
It does.
Whether it's acting, whether it's business, personal, all that stuff.
Well, and side note, I took the class with my boyfriend, and we found it immensely helpful in our communications. You know, I feel like we were already good communicators. However, I have that, I think it's like a good Midwestern habit of going, I'm a little upset and I'm not going to talk about it.
Oh, sure,
You know,
everybody does.
and so that can let things build and build. But there's this great exercise that we did in our class called, I want, I feel, I am, I need. And one of the points the instructor made on those 4 things is that nobody can argue with you on those things. Those are personal to you. When you state them, they are absolute truths. And so we did this in class, and I got into the habit of making those statements and making them powerfully. And then all of a sudden I had a day where I was kind of grumpy about some things going on in life, and I just, whereas before I wouldn't have said them out loud, or it would have taken a long time to get it out of me, hours, if not days, I was just like, you know what, I am, I feel, I think this.
Yeah.
And it helped us communicate about it so much faster. And I don't think it's enough to know that, oh, if I do that, it'll help. It's practicing it in a group setting that really helps.
Yeah. So for people interested in going to this, what should they kind of expect out of the experience? Because I know we were talking before, it's not like you're just getting up in front of everybody and acting.
Yeah. No. That's something, especially in the first class, that probably wouldn't be touched on at all, the acting element. There are listening exercises, and like one of the building exercises we did in an early class was just passing a box to one another. Not a real box, just going like this, and one person says what's in the box and the other person says, oh, it's, Bermuda shorts. And then the other person says, yes. And then in the next section of it, they say, yes, and I can totally use this because I'm going whale fishing tomorrow. Or, they just come up with something off the top of your head. So it's working on that skill. As far as the closest to scene work most likely to be done would be this thing called story building, which is also great because it, again, hones in on the listening skills, but you can build the story one word at a time. And usually you're given, like we were given Beauty and the Beast because Brave New Workshop was doing a show called The Booty and the Beast, or something similar. It was so cute. So building just one word at the other, it's like it's low risk. It's just one word. That's all you have to think of. But you have to work as a team to come up with that story. You can't just throw out a stupid word that's not going to, connect with anything, or the story's going to start to fall apart. However, should somebody throw a word out that doesn't make any sense, then the next person can help recover and bring it back. And so something like that. Otherwise, it might be one sentence building off of the other. I think David will do a great job of reading what the group is comfortable with. He's been teaching for over 20 years, it is, and he's worked with a lot of great people. He's been teaching at the Brave New Workshop in the Twin Cities for a very long time. And I think there's something about having a master instructor lead a group that is just so helpful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So nobody should be intimidated and coming.
No, because he's all about comfort and safety. And a really cool thing that I loved at the end of each of our classes is we would do this decompression of where we would talk about, okay, so what went on in class, what are these thoughts, and how can you bring that to your life, and what are the applications you're going to use it for, and everyone would discuss those at a team. Super supportive environment.
That'd be pretty cool. So you've gone through this before, so what kind of takeaways did you take for your business, your professional life, and how have you seen that benefiting you?
Yeah, the big benefits were really, I was so much happier on the phone and so much less hesitant on it. For me, I currently do marketing and sales in the tech industry and software. And while I've sold cars before and makeup before, software is just a completely different animal. And I found myself feeling really insecure at times on the phone going, oh, they're going to know so much more than me and this is going to suck. But sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And I just felt more confident and cool in dealing with those things. And then one of the other great things I thought was, there was one week, and I can't remember what the exercises were, but David was like, during this upcoming week, think about ways that you can serve and make other people look good. And make it an effort this week to just, in your workplace and whatever you're doing, make others look good. And part of And part of me was thinking, well, maybe my coworker or my boss could work on that. But I was like, hold on, I could probably work on that a bit. So, it's just, I definitely brought a more positive, open-minded way of thinking about it. And I do catch myself now and again doing that, no, that's not going to work because, and then I go, hold on. I know better than this. Yes, and let's think about how this could work, better. And really advocating for myself better in the workplace, and also advocating for others better and their ideas and being respectful of them.
Yeah, so I think it could benefit everybody.
Pretty much.
Just to kind of, you're saying, roll with the punches, move forward and think of things in a positive manner and just kind of build off of others too.
Oh yeah, well, and that whole storytelling element. It's like storytelling's a big thing in making sales and doing business, and people are recognizing more and more the importance of telling their stories. And it kind of gets your brain in that creative spin where it's like, hold on, this is a story I could tell about the business. This is a way I could present this information.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely true, and I think the better brands actually have a story that they're telling. Even when you watch an ad on TV these days, it's a clear story, the good ones.
Yeah.
That kind of suck you in with that emotional draw, whatever it is, and I think those are the things that are more successful, that you remember in telling your story, making something relatable, and again, listening and building off of what's happening around you. So yeah, I think it would be a good experience for anybody to have these kind of skills.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of fun. I remember when we left our first class, we had so much energy. And we're like, oh, but what about this? Oh, yes, and let's, and it's nice having that creative energy.
Oh, yeah. No, very cool. And you use it for acting, too. So you use it for a lot of different things.
Yes, and everything.
Awesome. So, yeah, again, it is, let's see, next Sunday, August 18th? 13th, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. And, yeah, it's on our website as well, or on our event calendar, and let's see what the actual website is.
And bitoflit.com, you can also see it there, or if you just search Improv Test Drive on Facebook.
Sounds good. So hopefully have a good turnout.
Yes, and it's just $30, so
that's
really,
not bad at all.
That's not when you're looking at investing in your business and in yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Being more comfortable in interactions with others and professional development.
Yes.
So, awesome. Well, we'll look to you for updates on how it went and what people can learn from stuff like this.
Okay,
so,
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here and being on Facebook Live, because I know some people are like, on video.
It's all the Improv. If you need to get comfortable with Facebook Live, go to Improv.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. And we will be at the Blue Duck Bar in 30 minutes for happy hour. So hopefully we'll see people there.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thanks.